Nasser Al Khater, thanks for joining us here in Doha as we approach the start of the World Cup. As we look around Doha, the building work, the final touches are being put to Qatar. Is the country ready to host this first Middle East World Cup?
Yes, we're ready. Qatar is ready. We've been planning for this for 12 years now, so final touches. Obviously, with any mega event like this, or any event actually that you put in place, there's always the last minute rush, but on a whole, in general, we're ready.
When you bid, it was a time of a global financial crisis. Here we are approaching the World Cup and there's yet more global financial turmoil. Are you concerned that might be an issue? Fans might have to put off their trips. It might be just too costly at the moment with this cost of living crisis globally.
I wouldn't say so. I mean, look, I understand what you're saying. Yes, prices are being inflated and interest is inflated. But if we look at the ticket sales, we look at the last minute ticket sales, we see the uptake on the applications of Heya cards, the booking of accommodation. It doesn't indicate that we're going to have any slowdown on people attending the World Cup.
A lot of issues to get through around this World Cup, in particularly England and Wales focused. In recent weeks, we've had the English and Welsh FA announce that they're going to wear One Love armbands. We're going to have England captain Harry Kane, Wales captain Gareth Bale, both wearing One Love armbands. Are you fine with Gareth Bale and Harry Kane wearing those rainbow-coloured One Love armbands?
Well, I don't know, because from what I understand is that there is discussions taking place about the different political messages that are going to be, there's a lot of political messages out there right now. There's a lot of things that we read in the press about armbands that are going to be worn. We don't know anything that's confirmed or anything that's official. But I know that there are discussions taking place right now.
But obviously that has been one of the big things in the build-up to this tournament, where the rainbow flags will be allowed. There has been some confusion. Could you clear that up? Can fans come with rainbow flags?
Look, we've always said that everybody is welcome here. All we ask is for people to be respectful of the culture. We ask for people to understand that different cultures are different people, and at the end of the day, as long as you don't do anything that harms other people, if you're not destroying public property, as long as you're behaving in a way that's not harmful, then everybody's welcome and you have nothing to worry about.
Obviously people are trying to get used to those laws. The English FA chief executive did say that gay fans have been put off from coming here to the World Cup because of the anti-LGBTQ laws. What would your message to those fans be who are sort of wary of maybe coming to those LGBTQ plus fans?
No, I don't know anything about what the chief executive has said about this, but I assure everybody that everybody is welcome here and everybody will feel safe when they come to Qatar.
Would that include, say,
everybody?
Gay fans if they were holding hands in public? Would that be okay?
Yes.
That's a message of reassurance to them, obviously.
Yes.
So they could show some form of...
If I held your hand, Rob, right now, and I walked outside the street for hours and hours and hours, nobody would say anything to us.
How do you look at some of the footballers who do raise issues with Qatar? Well, perhaps you might go on holiday to Dubai without raising questions.
I mean, look, you're asking the question. I'm not going to get into that, but I think people should understand that this is a festival. This is a celebration of football. This is a sporting tournament that people want to come and enjoy. Turning it into this platform of political movements and a platform of political statements, I don't think is right for the sport, and I don't think this is the whole intention of hosting the World Cup here in Qatar. So I think we need to focus on the sport. I think we need to focus on the preparations of the World Cup, and I think we need to focus on, all the fans need to be focusing on how well their teams are going to play. And honestly, I think fans that are going to be coming here should focus on their booking and making sure they book where they're going to go eat, where they're going to go for entertainment, and really focus on coming and enjoying themselves here at a World Cup. There's other places for these political discussions.
Do you think in some way that Qatar has been unfairly scrutinised, being the first Middle East World Cup in particular?
Yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with that. I think a lot of it is got to do with, is Qatar worthy of hosting a World Cup? Will Qatar ever be ready to host the World Cup? And we've taken the challenge upon ourselves, and we've risen to that challenge. And there's around the corner here, so that's what we're focusing on. And I'm sure people are going to enjoy the World Cup here. They're going to enjoy their time in Qatar. They're going to enjoy their time in the region, because I know that there's a lot of fans that will probably want to visit more than one country while they're here, and they'll see what the region is really about, and they'll see what Qatar is about, and how amazing this World Cup is going to be.
Do you feel some of that criticism might have veered into racism?
I'm not going to get into what the intentions are of other people. I'm not going to get into the minds and souls of other people, but you know, who knows, possibly.
One of the other things highlighted by the English and Welsh FAs in their statement recently was about this worker compensation fund. They wanted more assurances, and it seems to be focused more on the wider Qatar projects rather than necessarily the World Cup stadiums themselves. Have you responded to them? Do you have a message for the English and Welsh FAs and the other European FAs who are concerned about the implementation of this worker compensation fund?
Look, I find a lot of people that speak about this issue on workers' welfare, that speak about the issue of workers' rights and speak about this issue as a whole are not experts in the industry, and they're not experts in what they're speaking about, and I feel that they feel obliged that they need to speak, and I feel that they might think that they're doing it, and they come out as people who are taking a stance, a moral stance on a specific subject. I think they need to really read and educate themselves a little bit more about what's happening on the ground in Qatar, that they need to be understand what's happened over the past 10 or 12 years in terms of Qatar putting the effort into changing legislation, progressing rights, progressing working standards, introduction of minimum wage. These are just to name a few, because I've lost count, and I don't understand how people don't understand the amount of work that's gone in over the past 10 years in terms of really overhauling the workers' rights and the workers' laws in this country. So when people come out and say, yes, we agree that there needs to be some sort of compensation fund, they're just reading off a piece of paper. So let's leave that to the experts. Qatar is working with the ILO, Qatar is working with other NGOs on improving this. They've seen the work that Qatar has done. They've felt the work that's gone into this. And let's leave them and let them work. And let us focus on football. Let the football administrators focus on their teams. And let's just leave it at that.
Is it unreasonable that they are bringing this up with just a few weeks to go at the FA?
I think everybody needs to focus on their area of expertise right now. And mine is to make sure that, working hand in hand with the different authorities in Qatar, working with FIFA, working with all the different stakeholders to make sure that this is a successful World Cup, make sure that this is a World Cup that the fans will never forget, and let the FA administrators focus on their teams, and let the NGOs and the ILOs of this world and the labor authorities of this world focus on their work.
A lot of focus has been on the alcohol policies. Did you feel a bit pressured into relaxing things to sort of sell alcohol more?
No, look, Rob, you know more than anybody else, and I've been saying this to you. We've met many times, and I've told you that alcohol is available in Qatar. It's more limited than maybe other countries in the world, whether it's in Europe or the US or other countries in Eastern Europe, in the East. But it will be more available in designated zones in Qatar, and here we are today. We have it in designated zones, like we've promised from day one.
We've heard about the drunk tanks that are going to be there to help maybe fans sober up a bit. Could you explain how they will work?
Well, I don't know where you heard about it. I know that there are plans in place for people to sober up if they've been drinking excessively. It's just a place to make sure that they keep themselves safe. They're not harmful to anybody else. They don't get themselves harmed. And I think it's a good idea.
We're coming to the end of a year that's seen a war launched by Russia and Ukraine, so much disharmony, so much strife. You are bringing football fans to the Middle East for the first time, to a World Cup in a Muslim nation for the first time. What message can that send out? What are you hoping to achieve with this World Cup in a Muslim nation for the first time, in the Middle East for the first time?
Football brings people together. Every 4 years we see this in the World Cup. We see this. Everyone's glued to their TV. Everybody's talking about football, about this team or that team or this goal or that goal. Yes, this is a special World Cup. A, it's happening in the Middle East for the first time. B, it's happening in the winter season for the first time as well. I believe it's going to be a special World Cup because of the amount of, I think the amount of attention that's been given to this World Cup from 2009, 2010, when Qatar won the bid. I think the amount of work that's gone into it by the country. the transformation that we've seen over the past 10 years, I think we're, it's going to be a message of celebration. It's going to be a message of people coming together. And look, Rob, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people that are going to come here and say, we expected this. We expected this to be a great World Cup. And they've either visited the region or they're not under some really bad preconception of the region. But yes, there will also be the people that are going to come here for the first time and going to wonder, I didn't know what to expect, but looking at this is quite amazing, and this place is beautiful, and I can't believe that I could have missed such an experience, or I couldn't believe that I was not actually thinking of not coming. But it's at the end, it's going to be a place where people are going to be having fun, getting to meet new people, and people are going to remember that this first Middle Eastern World Cup was something amazing.